And welcome to Open My Gripe with Jeffrey Ide
and Jay Rice,
the place where serious and silly complaints come to chat.
Open My Gripe is a weekly podcast dedicated to hearing your gripes, grievances, and opinions on any and all topics.
Every episode, Jay and I will have the opportunity to get to the bottom of the issues which are lingering on the back of your mind and engage in order to create constructive conversation, using a combination of lighthearted comedy and well-formed logic.
If you feel like we are wrong, inappropriate, or biased, then call in, email, or tweet and let your voice be heard. You can email us at openmicgripe@gmail.com or tweet us at openmicgripe, both of those, open mic gripes being one word. So jump on in and gripe on the open mic with Jay Rice and Jeffrey Ide. We're ready to go?
We're ready to go.
All right. Welcome back, Jeffrey.
Hi, how you doing?
Doing good. How about yourself?
It's a 2 thumbs up kind of weekend.
Oh, yeah? Why is that?
I don't know. It's just overall good feeling. Get beautiful summer here in Fargo, North Dakota.
All right. What'd you say? All right. That's okay.
You can enjoy the forests and the Great Plains.
There's no forests in North Dakota.
Well, we're right on the border between Minnesota and North Dakota. Minnesota has the lakes and the forest. North Dakota has the Great Plains. I think we should be called the Big Sky Country.
Okay, instead of Montana?
Well, we're the Bigger Sky Country.
Well, are they called Bigger Sky? Bigger Sky.
Well, listen.
So we should be called Big Sky, and they should be called Bigger Sky, just because they have the mountains and they can get closer.
We've already stolen a state motto. Okay.
Becoming a legend?
The North Dakota state motto is the Peace Garden State. New Jersey is the Garden State. So we've already one-upped another state. I don't see why we can't just become the Bigger Sky Country.
So now you want the Bigger Sky Country. So the Montana will be the Big
I'd rather
Sky
mimic
Country.
Montana than New Jersey.
What I thought you just said is I'd rather make Montana New Jersey. And I was like, that would be interesting to do. You want Guido's a little bit closer to you? Is that what you're saying?
On that note, would you please introduce our guest today?
What? But after I mentioned Guido's? What are you talking about? That is a horrible way to try to intro a guest.
This is a wonderful transition to stop insulting our wonderful New Jersey listeners.
Well, that's because usually you are the one picking out some kind of minority or group or anything.
Well, they can't exactly be the majority.
You don't think the Dutch are a minority in the U.S.?
Let's just say being born in New Jersey is a choice.
All right, I'll agree with that. Okay, so on our guest today is Oopsie Daisy of Belle's Burlesque.
Awesome.
Hello.
Hey. So this is the way we like to start the show. We like to start the show with a hypothetical question that I come up with, pull out of my ass, and usually get Jay to answer it on the spot. Mm-hmm. I'd love it if you could join us today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Let's get started, shall we?
Okay, sounds good. I like that she's already interested in how much because we were bickering before the show.
Yeah.
And then, like, as soon as the show started, we just continued to bicker.
Yeah. It's just kind of a functional relationship that we have.
I wonder when it's going to spiral down into abuse.
I'm wondering where the function is.
Well, who's the abuser?
After the diss.
So today's hypothetical question, I want to ask both of you, if you could assassinate any historical figure, knowing that whoever you would assassinate would influence how they affected history and anything that came after them, who would you assassinate from history?
That's easy. It would be Hitler.
Really?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know if that's a clear option. I mean, because of Hitler, the world came together, United Nations was formed, human rights was developed. I don't know if that would have been the case if Hitler had not existed. It might have been another 100 years before human rights would have come around.
Maybe. That's totally plausible.
And why Hitler? Why not?
I would still take that risk.
Why not Stalin or Mao Zedong or
Pol Pot? That's where the function. See,
That's just-
sometimes we're on the same page.
Genghis Khan killed more people than Stalin and Hitler combined.
Probably the reason that I would choose Hitler is just because I am more educated and the atrocities that he did
Okay.
and started.
Okay. You mean his failed art business? Okay, that's interesting. Jay, who would you say?
Can they? Well, I'm torn because I don't know if it's a real person.
What? Oh, I know who you're gonna say.
So I don't know.
You're gonna say the Buddha.
Well, I think the Buddha was real, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Probably not.
Buddha was real.
No, probably not. In history, we could probably rule that one out.
Let's see. Well, or like
Generally,
Jesus.
if people are really nice to other humans, they're probably not real. If they're selfish and try to use influence through power and control, then yeah, we can probably count on them if we're being real.
Well, here's I have to do a counter
right.
one. Now, if I assassinated Jesus, would he still come back after 3 days?
You know, Jesus didn't exist.
Well, we don't know this.
I mean, you kind of have to rule that out by default, unless there is extraordinary evidence suggesting he actually did, which there is not. Anyway,
You've been listening to Dr. Richard, haven't you?
Richard Carrier,
Yeah.
one of the greatest historic scholars in the country, absolutely. Anyway,
I don't. How about?
Why would you assassinate Jesus?
Huh?
Why would you assassinate Jesus?
he tried
Because
to
of all
push-
the atrocities that the Christian religion
Okay.
has done. But I figure they would have still
Oh, yeah.
done something
That's
else.
every
somebody would have
religion.
committed those
Yeah.
atrocities.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Somebody from every religion, made up, whatnot, has done something
Oh yeah.
as an excuse for their behavior.
Very true.
No, I'm holding you to this. Real people.
Real people?
Real people.
Okay. How about my grandfather?
Wow, that's deep. That's deep.
I'm
Then
glad.
that way I wouldn't have to be on this podcast answering this question.
Okay. All right. So
how about on that? How about we jump into our
Yeah.
our you actually have a gripe that you wanted to start off with today.
I do have a gripe. So this is something that's bothered me since I moved back to the States here, but just in general around the world, there's a huge problem. People are often unable to separate sexuality from nudity.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to me, and I would like to hear you guys' experience with this as well, that unless people are introduced to nudity at a young age without any reference to sexuality, it seems that people are unable to accept nudity or any type of nudity. And there's a lot. We can go, breastfeeding, go nude beaches, wherever you want to go with this, without thinking about sexuality. And I think it really damages how we view human beings.
Oh, definitely, of course. Especially in the Midwest, doing what I do. People have no idea what they're stepping into. You get judged profusely. My half of my family are Native American, and they want nothing to do with hearing about it, seeing it, nothing, which is kind of typical for Native Americans. There's not much sexuality ever discussed.
I guess that's something that I had no idea that was part of the Native American culture is not having really much to do with sexuality.
Yeah, no, it's
Kind of
how many times have you seen like an openly gay Native American?
Right.
Very true.
Well, a better question would be, of course, getting away from the main topic here, but how has colonization of these parts influenced what we would consider to be native sexual attitudes? And how did that, the schooling that was mandatory for so many, how did that influence people and their acceptance of human sexuality?
Are you talking about just in general in this area or Native Americans?
Or Native Americans?
That delves into some pretty serious issues.
I know.
Because there's violence and sexual abuse. It runs rampant, unfortunately, through a lot of reservations.
And that is a subject that I really want to get into, but I feel like it would be going so far from the topic at hand.
Well, who cares?
All right.
Why don't we talk about what are we talking
Well,
about?
no, I mean, this is because I work with education in society on domestic abuse and sexual assault. And this is something where, looking back at Native communities, read a couple of books recently that are describing how the word rape was not a part of any Native language in these parts. I mean, it happened from time to time, but it was quickly dealt with through community action. And
Right.
women were empowered by the tribe, by the community, and trusted to make the decision about when to punish someone.
Right. Yeah, I actually have a very good friend out of New York City. She's an international burlesque performer, and she is an advocate for Native American rights. And she wants to start, it's Indigenous women healing through the art of burlesque. And I had to delicately touch this with her. She's not Native American. How being raised on the reservation, you don't really even talk about it. You don't talk about sexuality. If you are considered promiscuous, it's a bad thing. Yeah, I don't think that it's something that can happen. I don't think that healing through burlesque is something that would be positive in the Native American community, just because how through generations, which it's only been 150 years. My grandmother remembers terrible atrocities
Yeah.
from when the reservations were formed and everything. She grew up where Sakakawea is before it was flooded.
Okay.
So then actually, how did you, I guess maybe like get over that kind of, that part of, I guess, of your heritage where sexuality is so frowned upon, or like open sexuality, and then get into burlesque?
Well, I actually went to high school in Minneapolis. My mother was a very open woman. She was a swinger, and she was open with what she did and all that. She never hid it. If I had any questions, and whatever. So I grew up seeing that part because they divorced when I was little. Basically, she was just a big slut. but
A word I hope meant to empower.
Sure, yeah.
Not to sex shame.
We're totally. He's gonna kill his grandmother. I'm slut shaming my mother. Like this is great.
Well,
But I actually way before this, I was actually a police officer in Montana.
Okay.
Oh, under
Yeah.
the big
big
sky.
sky. Yes.
The New Jersey.
Yes.
How did you get into becoming a police officer?
It was on accident. It was. I was working at a bookstore and it was closing, and I was putting out applications everywhere. And as a joke, I was 19 years old. I put in an application for a correctional officer, which is working in the jail. So, and I was like 30 pounds less than this, just fucking tiny, just ridiculous looking. And they hired me, I think. And so after about 2 years of working in the jail, they saw that I actually could do the job well. And so
You look like you could hold your own. In a scrap.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah, I ended up doing that for 3 years, and then I had my daughter. Your life changes after you have children. Your outlook on life changes. People are assholes. I was tired of being an asshole. So I got out, moved to Fargo, made some friends, got into burlesque.
Very cool.
Okay.
So I feel like if you've been a correctional officer and a cop, I feel like you have a very demanding voice, and I'm glad that you haven't shown that yet, because you'd probably make me very terrified.
Well, I think that kind of goes hand in hand with, in my experience anyway, people who are able to affirm themselves with their voices tend to be able to not only express their sexuality in a much more positive and confident way, but how does that play into burlesque, and has that helped you at all?
My confidence?
I mean, yeah, your work as a correctional officer.
It actually didn't help at all.
Okay.
It was very.
Oh, you don't have handcuffs on stage?
Oh my People think that handcuffs are so sexy, but they're so fucking disgusting.
They're metal. I've been in handcuffs.
Do you know what we
It wasn't fun.
we would take hand sanitizer and just pour it over our handcuffs. You're arresting people who have shit themselves, who have puked, who have just beaten somebody up,
Boil them.
covered in blood. Yeah, they're not sexy.
Boil them with the rest of the sex toys.
Although I would, maybe I would feel different if I would have gotten arrested with those furry handcuffs. Maybe I'd feel a little bit different about my experience.
Right? You'd look forward to the next opportunity.
Right.
Okay. So we're throwing around this word burlesque. Before I saw my first burlesque show, I had assumptions. Assumptions because I had seen TV shows, I had, watched movies.
Fucking Christina Aguilera movie. Oh my god.
Oh, don't even get me started on Christina Aguilera.
No, the movie Burlesque.
I have to defend Christina Aguilera here?
No, it's the movie itself. Terrible.
Right. Well, okay, so define burlesque.
It is, right now, it's neo and classic American striptease that are based on satires. Or they are satires. You go on stage, you're a character, and my goal is usually to make people laugh. I like to make people laugh. Or, it's just entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
You can be seductive on there. Obviously, you're taking off your clothes and things jiggle that normal people don't usually see in person. But yeah, it's entertainment. It's not what you're going to see at the strip club.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so
I've been to enough burlesque, and it actually looks like you're enjoying what you're doing. So, or at least
as
women
opposed
in
to your
burlesque,
time in the strip clubs,
as opposed to the times in the strip club where they just look like they're pissed off because it's a job.
Full confession, I've never been to a strip club.
Really?
Have you been to a burlesque show?
Yes.
Have you been to one of my shows?
I haven't. Not
Have
yet.
you been to one of my
I
shows?
have not been to Belle's Burlesque.
Oh my god.
I know, I feel bad.
What I see when I look at a burlesque show is women who are empowering themselves, their bodies, and their sexuality. And I think that's a really positive image. It's a positive attitude.
Empowerment is a very overused word anymore. It's really us just being ourselves and doing what we want to do as artists and as women.
Right.
It's like we get up on stage and you can be as weird as you want to be. You can literally do whatever the hell you want to do, and it's liberating. To me, it's more liberating than empowering, because I spent so many years being under this thumb of being a police officer, and it took me a long time to find myself as an artist after that because of the stigmas against it. That I am a burlesque performer that scares the shit out of a lot of Midwest men. I have been confident women scare the shit out of Midwest men. I've been single for 4 years, and it's which I'm fine with. And I'm also a single mother. I have a 5-year-old daughter. That was something that I had to get over. Was, am I being a role model for my child as a little girl?
Mm-hmm.
And once I made some more friends in the burlesque community nationwide who have children, who have great, smart, well-adjusted children, I knew that I was doing it right.
Right. Well, I think the thing that I deal with is when you were coming in, when I knew you were coming in, I was just like, okay, don't introduce her as beautiful, because I was thinking about when you're raising a child, as a confident woman, you want to raise a confident. Do you have a little girl?
Yep.
Okay, so you want to raise a confident, smart child, and so many times people, say, "Oh, you're so pretty," at first, as opposed to saying, "Oh, you're so smart,"
or "You're so brave for being able to get up on stage."
Yeah, and I was just I had to mentally make sure that I wasn't just the beautiful Oopsie Daisy, because I was I didn't want to be, I didn't want to put that first.
Thank you.
I wanted to make sure that I didn't even say anything. I didn't use any adjectives, but I wanted to make sure that I said talented, Well, and I don't really know you, so I don't know if you're smart. But
Jay's here because he's beautiful, but we'll keep him around for the good voice, too.
Well, I
Very
gotta tell
pretty.
you something that happened to me last night. My dance partner and I were leaving the studio, which is in the Black Building downtown.
Yeah.
And I had my 5-year-old in tow. And we're leaving, we're kind of walking, and there's these two guys on a bench. And one of them yells, "Oh my God, you're gorgeous," and cat calls. And I just ignore him, and I'm talking to Aaron, my dance partner, and we're waiting for the stoplight to change so we can cross the street. And he yells again, talking about my shorts. So I turn around, put my hand up, and I just say, "Stop," and continue my conversation with Aaron. And light changes, and I give Aaron a hug, and over his shoulder, I see my 5-year-old staring this motherfucker down. And she lifts 2 fingers up to her eyes and does the "I'm watching you."
Oh,
Awesome. Yeah. No, I would say you're doing it right. I would say you're doing it right for sure.
I just burst out laughing. It was perfect. And she did it so sneaky that if I hadn't seen her do it, I would have never, only her and that bench dude would have had that moment.
That's awesome. And she's 5?
Yep.
Nice.
You're
I
doing
think
a
she's
great
on
job.
a good track.
Yeah.
But, you know, around here, the bench folk in downtown Fargo area, they are notorious for the catcalls, and so I see it so many times.
I would say across the country, any dude, especially if they're sitting with another dude, is probably notorious for
come on.
cat
Well,
calls.
specifically, these are men who are very insecure about themselves, and the reason they do it is more of a like celebrating their own masculinity with their friends, not about the woman. They're using that woman as a subject of their own insecurity. But it's interesting how so many local women will simply walk away from that because they think that confrontation will make it worse, when in fact, you know, if you find someone strong enough to say stop,
It's scary. It's startling.
yeah, it is, and it makes people question their safety when they walk down the street. I mean, so it is harmful, and I'm so happy that you're able to stand up for that.
Well, if it's 50%, you know, if a man could walk in a woman's like in their mindset,
Yeah.
it would be pretty terrifying. Like even
sure.
coming over here when I've never been here,
Yep.
I was nervous.
I actually was even going to say, if you wanted, I thought about that because, like I said, we haven't actually met outside of this before. And so I was going to say, if you wanted to bring a friend, that would be fine.
Oh, trust me, people know where I'm at.
Okay.
But simple things like
Right.
that, like coming and we know each other in the community,
Yeah.
not personally, but simple things like that. And you know, when I've stood up for myself, I stand up for my friends. I'm very well known, like I have chased motherfuckers down.
Woo!
But I've been almost punched by men for standing up for myself. Like it's
Yes. I'm thank you. I just want to say thank you for that. And it's Tony Porter is a public speaker. He's got his hands full right now because he's an advisor for the NFL when it comes to domestic abuse. He gives the most amazing presentations to men about how to raise boys to, you know, healthy masculinity. And one of the questions he likes to ask is, men, how many times have you decided to not leave the house because you didn't feel safe walking down the street? And this is not a question most guys have ever asked themselves. Most men will never know this feeling. And it's a reminder. It's a reminder that we always have to keep in mind.
well, just going out to your car in the middle of the night to get something.
Right.
That's like simple things like that. A lot of my friends carry knives on them. You know,
I bought my girlfriend a taser flashlight.
I have a knife right here. It's
Just letting you guys know I have a knife right
well,
here.
it's disguised too, so I can get into like events and places that I wouldn't be able to normally.
That is quite clever.
But yeah, and like for instance, we're an all-female burlesque troupe. Our first show, or our second show, was slotted to be at JT Cigarros when it was open. And then the owner decided to beat the shit out of his fiance.
Oh, no.
Oh.
So we were put in a position, it was a week and a half before the show. We're put in a position where like,
I think I remember this.
what do we do? So we found a different venue, Shotgun Sally's, which is amazing. And then because we have such an amazing community following, we have wanted to do, every one of our local shows has benefited a different local organization.
Awesome.
Thank you.
For JT Cigar, because of the incident that happened at JT Cigarros, we raised $1,200 for the Rape and Abuse Crisis Center.
Wow.
And we did get a few people, even one of our performers had said something about, well, we're like on stage and we're stripping, and is it appropriate to raise money for the Rape and Abuse Crisis Center?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Of course it is.
Like that, just because we're taking off our clothes on stage does not mean we are asking for it.
No matter what action
That's
you're doing.
and that there needs to be a exclamation point after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if I can get back to burlesque a little bit, so
wait, before we get off this topic, just when you're talking about that Tony that does a classes,
Tony Porter, check him out.
Tony Porter. The one thing that I've actually said to other dudes is just to try to get them to understand. I mean, I can't say that I completely understand what women go through. Dang it! I give him a lot of crap because I don't want to call myself a feminist, because if we have to say we're feminists, it just seems like we're trying to put a label
Not
on.
at all. You're embracing positive change.
But what I've tried to say with since there is a lot of homophobia, in the Bible fanny pack up here. There's already a Bible belt. We're a Bible fanny pack. We're trying to start that here on this podcast. We started it. But they say, you know what? I don't care about gay guys, but I don't want them hitting on me. And they're just like, oh, and then they'll tell me stories just like, oh, I couldn't believe you came up and hit on me. And that's where I point out, I was just like, then that's a small taste of what it would be like to be a woman every single day. That's what they had to put up with all the time, is that they have to, no matter what, no matter where they are, they have to worry about somebody hitting on them, whether it's wanted or unwanted or inappropriate. And I said, that's a tiny taste that you get. Yeah.
Guys, if you're willing to listen, sometimes the stories are just, and the things that you don't see because you're just one guy and you're saying from one perspective. But if you turn down a guy and he calls you a bitch, how's that going to make you feel?
It's happened to me several times.
If a guy offers to buy you a drink and you say no, you're a bad person?
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible to me.
Guys get very, very defensive. And I'm one, I've worked in the service industry as a bartender for many years, on and off, and I hate getting hit on. It's just, I don't, I've even had women say, for instance, I work at one place that is in Rose Creek, and so it's a bunch of rich white guys. And the first day that I worked there, I had one gentleman tell me a pussy joke within 20 seconds of going up to his table. I have no idea who this gentleman is. And I had another, this is 6 o'clock in the afternoon, or in the evening on a Tuesday. A gentleman comes up behind me dressed in his golf clothes and starts telling me how it's so hard for him to keep his hands off of me.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm
privilege.
this is upper middle class, like white area. And
well, I'm sure they feel a little bit more entitled than too.
Well, I started asking some of the women. I was like, "What is going on? I've never
privilege is really hard to teach."
But I've been in, I've worked wherever. I'm used to drunk fucking college boys, and I was just appalled at how these grown men were acting. And the women that I worked with,
stop to it.
No, they didn't want. They were just like, yeah, we just take their money. Just let them do it. They're used to people. They're used to people doing what they want them to do. Right. So just take their money. That's how. Then I realized, I was like, so this is how you guys make your money. This is why we're pulling in so much money. Yeah. And finally, after the third girl to say this to me, I looked at the manager, who I've known for years. I go, yeah, but you don't say that to a feminist. And she's just like, yeah, she was like, yeah, you are. And I'm like, what? We all should be.
Yeah. I'm going to say this point blank. if you're not a feminist, and by feminist, not to confuse definitions, this is desiring gender equality. If you're not a feminist, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be apologetic about that one. So, if you want equality, call yourself a feminist. Otherwise, you're kind of an asshole. And you can't be an equalist. I don't like that. I've got a lot of my very intelligent liberal friends who are like, you know what, I'm not a feminist, I'm an equalist. That would be great if all genders just started out on the same foot. But that's simply not the case. That's why you got to be a feminist. Sorry, off my rant. I love these stories. Are enlightening. They really are. Thank you for sharing these.
I mean, and this just kind of goes why, like, I in a bar, I never talk to women ever, just because I don't ever want to like talk to them and then think that I'm hitting on them, and then being uncomfortable. That's how like far I am on that side of that. I can't bring myself to do it, even if I just want to, like, oh, hey, I saw you perform. That was a great performance. You're spectacular. Great job. I would even just be like, I don't want to put somebody to feel uncomfortable like I am hitting on them. I don't want to be.
Well, I host a regular social group, and we go out and we want to have a very safe environment for people, men and women, of all backgrounds, religious, non-religious, political, apolitical, and I often have to tell the guys in the group, don't hit on women. Just don't. It's really simple. Unless you're really good friends with them and you've known them for a long time, just don't hit on them. Make friends. And there are a couple people I haven't told this to for obvious reasons you'll catch in a second. And so we've got all these guys who are really respecting the women, and every once in a while I want to get their feedback. I want to say, you know, have you felt safe? Do you feel like any guys are hitting on you? And they always say, like, you know, there's one guy who's just really kind of over the top hitting on us, and it's and I was like, who? And they said the name. I was like, he's gay. So the only person I didn't tell, like, don't hit on women, is so friendly that they just
Well, I had to tell that, and I think you might understand the story. When I was in grad school, I had to. It was funny where I was explaining to my women friends like kind of the mindset of guys, and at one point I was just like, this one girl, Jill, she was just so bubbly and friendly, and I said. She's just like, I don't understand why this guy keeps like hitting on me. And I go, oh, I'm like, did you say hi to him? And she's like, well, yeah. And she like basically she lent him some where she lived in like one of the college dorms or whatnot. She lent him some detergent, and she said, you know, she was just friendly and nice. I said, well, he thinks that you want to have sex with him. And she's like, no. And I'm like, yes, Jill, you smiled at him. And you were friendly, he thinks you want to have sex with him. That's plain how he is thinking. And she's like, that is not true. And then the guy showed up, somehow found out, and this is scary, somehow figured out which dorm she lived in.
Creepy.
And then I showed up there. And then she was like, okay, I believe you now. That's in some guy's mind that's as simple as it is.
I completely can see that. I think like a dude half the time. I catch myself doing.
Like you say hi to people.
No, I've caught myself doing things that are that I would be very pissed off if someone had done it to me. Thank God I'm not a guy, because I would be a really big douchebag. Unfortunately, I would. Yeah.
No, that's interesting. So you're on stage. Do you ever feel like the people in the audience are making personal connections with you that are one-sided?
Do you know, Anytime Jones told me this when I first started my career, and I use it to this day, where I walk out onto that stage and I try to make as much eye contact with as many audience members as I can, and I am trying to portray to every one of those that I am going to fuck the shit out of them.
Oh my gosh. So this is not just a dance. There's some sexuality involved in this.
Oh, well, yeah. You
It is a tease.
Well, I don't want to assume this. You know,
it's not all the time. It's they're definitely you're using your sexuality, and it depends on the performer, of course, and the performance, but it doesn't have to be in a sexual manner. You're
Right.
using your sexuality in a procreation
Right.
type of way. If that makes
Fornication.
sense.
I
Yeah.
hope procreation down the road for the. No. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know. When I see burlesque dancers, I'm like, I'd like to have a baby with that person. Okay, so I've seen male burlesque dancers.
Boylesque.
Boylesque?
Jinx.
Is that
Yeah.
the term? Okay. Okay. Boylesque. I've seen boylesque dancers. I didn't ever feel like they were hitting on me, making eye contact with me. I didn't feel like it was a personal thing.
I'm
Okay.
surprised.
Really?
Jeffrey thinks everybody's hitting on him.
Oh, come on. We both know it's true.
Yeah.
No, okay. Joking aside, though, it's I see it as entertainment, like you would watch a show.
It is. It definitely is. When I go on stage and what I use that tool for is just making that connection with my audience and using my face. I do a lot of work with my face on stage, portraying what I'm feeling by doing that. And
Okay.
Matt's like, that's my tool is the smolder.
What are you feeling on stage?
Wait, that's your tool is a smolder?
Is the smolder. I'm a fire performer.
Okay.
What
is it?
Fire
Wait.
performer?
Yep.
What does that mean? Is a smolder?
What is a fire performer?
What does that term mean? I mean,
It's just the look
Okay.
that you give, and what I like to do when I make eye contact with an audience member, my favorite part is when I can see them squirming.
oh.
Oh,
Just because it's
that's
like
got an element of BDSM to it.
because well, it's all like I've only made that connection with a couple people for that long to actually physically see them squirm
Wow.
in their seat. But it's thrilling. It's so thrilling for people to be like, is she looking at me? Oh, she's looking at me. She's coming towards me. Holy shit.
Okay.
That they're gonna
Nice.
walk away with that.
Fire dancer? Was it? What
Yep.
was it?
Yep. So I blow fire and I eat fire.
Okay, like on the stick.
Yep.
Okay.
Torch.
A torch. It's the terminology. It's getting me. Okay. What you mentioned?
Wait.
What you feel on stage. I want to. What do you feel on stage? Because when you're an actor and you go out on stage, you have to be that character.
I feel, me personally, and every performer feels differently. Me personally, I feel like their lover. And
Okay.
that I don't want to burn myself.
So do you feel like you have many relationships because of this? Or
Many relationships, how?
well, you're out there in a sense being in a relationship with momentarily with each member of the audience based on am I getting
Okay,
this right?
yeah.
Do you feel like you are I don't know, how does it end when the show ends?
It ends when I walk off that stage.
Okay.
And nobody's ever tried to. I guess that was kind of Jeffrey's initial question. I think has anybody ever thought that it didn't? Like one of the audience members ever thought that it didn't end when it went off the stage?
Honestly, after a show, I don't get approached that often.
Again,
because
Midwest men being
they're-
terrified.
Yeah, I mean, I could burn your house down. Like you.
I was thinking because I do know that you're a fire performer, and I was just like, it'd be great if we could have a demonstration, but at the same time, I don't know if my homeowner's insurance would cover fire performance in
That would
in
be
the
pretty
studio.
cool.
It's
I could
it's
get-
very safe. I've been doing it for about 3 years now, and I've never had any accidents.
And actually, how did you get into it?
I was drunk on YouTube,
Okay.
and true story, I was wine wasted, and I saw somehow fire eating, and I'm like, I'm gonna do that. So I started doing looking at more YouTube videos. I made a grocery list, and the next day I went out and bought the tools and made my own torches, and I'm in my backyard. My daughter's in her little airplane swing, and I remember putting the torch towards my face and thinking, this is fucking stupid. This is so unnatural. And after the first time I actually got it out in my mouth, I didn't even realize it. My daughter was watching, and she started clapping, little baby in her swing.
Wow.
But that's how I got started.
My drunk on YouTube usually goes through the phases like cheesy 80s music videos, Mystery Science Theater 3000, and then discovering that nude yoga is a thing on YouTube. Every time.
Oh if my drunken Google searches, I'm on some sort of watch list. Like, I just have to be.
Man, we are very different. Somehow mine always ends up at like pimple popping or something like really.
You've got the weirdest interests. You really do.
Did you know that there's pterodactyl porn?
Pterodactyl porn?
Yeah. I'm more surprised that I could spell it right that drunk.
You're just like, let me check this, and you're
Actually,
like, pterodactyl
it was
porn.
most likely a search result based of just like random keys being hit.
I'm not really sure, but yeah, there's pterodactyl porn, and there's actual dinosaur erotica that you can buy, and they sell the books on Amazon.
I'm not about to shame anyone, but wow.
I'm interested. Actually, I'm gonna have to check that out.
They're like, the titles are like taken by the pterodactyl and
Nice.
Jurassic Hump.
in the nest of the T-Rex.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was. So were you up? So you weren't like a pyro as a kid or anything?
No, I'm actually scared of fireworks.
So that's right. You guys had mentioned before that you guys don't like fireworks with the 4th coming up and everything, but. This is not going to be released. This will be released after the 4th, but I see. Now I was a pyro as a kid, so I guess when you were coming in, I knew that you could tell.
Yeah.
I definitely like me and my buddy were making Molotov cocktails for fun.
What?
And we did some really dumb stuff with fire, but just like one of the things that I did do is I taught myself how to breathe fire. My parents had Everclear in the house, so I took, and now that's of course very dangerous because you can torch your lungs doing that. But I went into our garage. What's that?
Your face.
Yes, that I have burned a lot of the hair off my face trying some of this. But I went out to the garage with a bottle of Everclear. I'm in like maybe a freshman, junior high freshman in high school when I'm learning how to do this.
Right.
I went out to the garage. And I saw that you dip your fingers in the Everclear, you light your fingers on fire so there's a bigger flame, and then you just throw it out. And I learned how to spit fire.
Wow. Somewhere out there, there's photographic evidence of me drunk on the beaches of France doing fire poi. I would never do that sober, but.
Well, if I'm not on stage, a lot of my fire performing I'm pretty drunk.
On stage?
No, off of stage. Off of stage.
So when you're hanging out and...
I went to... do you know what Power Cruise is? Yeah, in Brainerd.
Oh, no, I do not.
It's a bunch of people. They bring out fast cars, bikes, that type of thing on the racetrack. So I went out there with a friend of mine and...
That's pretty Midwestern.
My brothers. Yeah. And got just drunk, and everyone's riding around on bikes and shit like that, and I had my torches, but I forgot my fuel. So after a while, I just grabbed my torches, I walk up to some guy sitting on a bike, and I said, open your gas tank.
What do you usually use for fuel?
Camping fluid. Gasoline sucks. I mean, it's great, but you wake up and
it's more like a
just
diesel
gross.
substance. What is camping fluid?
Camping fluid is a
Cleaner?
white. It's so much cleaner. It's like the cleanest burning fuel that you can use.
So it's more like a slow burner.
No, it burns very
Okay.
fast.
Like gasoline.
Yeah, just not.
There's just less impurities in it.
Okay.
So it would probably, you know how gasoline smells? Camping, it's like camping, cooking, whatever. What do you call camping gas?
Yeah.
Yeah, camping gas doesn't smell as that bad.
Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, I've used gasoline for fire.
Do you drink on stage?
Usually.
Okay. Okay.
But I usually just have one while we're getting ready anymore.
Yeah.
Just because, just to kind of lighten it up. But we have a rule where you cannot be intoxicated, you cannot be
Makes sense.
drinking. Like our stagehands are not allowed to drink at all. But our last production was actually a 2-day run, and it's a concept out of New York City
Okay.
called "Now You See Us, Now We're Drunk."
Okay.
Go on.
So we do the first half. We do our shows, and then at intermission we take a shot with the audience and proceed to get drunk at intermission.
Okay.
Go back on stage, have a breathalyzer, redo it
And
while you're drunk.
so, and what is the? I mean, is there a philosophy behind it, a theory behind it?
It's a hilarious party.
Okay.
Like, it went over so well in Fargo, of course.
Yeah.
People were just partying. They had, like, it was hands down the most successful burlesque production in the entire state.
Well, we
Nice.
have to keep up Fargo's reputation for alcoholism.
Of course.
Yep. Yeah, and we actually flew the original producer out of New York City, Fancy Feast,
Nice.
here, and she was terrified of Fargo and what she has read about the drunkest city in America and everything. She
I'm
was
glad people are reading that.
Oh yeah. We're getting a lot of attention in Fargo. People are coming up to like my mentor Ophelia Flame.
Yeah.
She's international, and just being like, "What is going on in Fargo, and how do I get up there?"
Really?
Yep.
How do I get up there?
Yep.
Like, people want to come here.
Yes.
Wow. So
And now is this specifically burlesque or okay?
For burlesque.
For burlesque.
if you would like to be hosted by Open Mic Gripe, email us at openmicgripe@gmail.com.
Well, and speaking of, actually, so you actually have a couple shows coming up, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell us about those shows?
July 16th is our 1-year anniversary show. That's
Wow.
at Shotgun
Well,
Sound.
congratulations!
Thank you.
Congratulations! So,
We've done a shit ton in a year, where I'm very, very proud. We're very hardworking. We're very close knit.
And so I don't mean to interrupt you. I was just gonna. Who did it start with? Hey, so you've been with it since the beginning?
Yep, I'm one of the founding members. I guess I was the instigator of it.
Okay.
There was a few of us that started with a different burlesque troupe, and we left for different reasons. And I really missed performing. And I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna try to do this. So I started going to friends. I started going to the other women that used to be in that other burlesque troupe, and it just started with us meeting and drinking wine and eating food and being like, oh, well, I'm not sure what we're doing, but let's do it.
Nice.
So we figured it out from there. And
So how many people did it start with?
5.
Okay. And you have 5 right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Do me a huge favor. Sell the show, including your colleagues.
Okay.
Sell the show to us.
Okay, so July 16th, the concept, the show's title is Bluebell's Burlesque XO. It's pretty much like a 2.0 version of our first show, which...
Oh my god. Okay, so wait, hold on. You did say Bluebells, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I heard it too.
I thought, okay, I really did
Blue
think you
balls.
said blue balls,
Yep.
and I'm just like,
That's
oh, witty.
appropriate.
I'm like, witty name for a show.
It's hilarious. I know.
Blue Bells.
Bluebells.
Okay.
Yes.
Bluebells Burlesque.
Bluebell is our logo. The lady in our logo. She kind of represents everything that we each have and bring to the table.
Okay.
So the next show is July 17th, the next day at Drekker Brewing Company downtown. We are flying in Johnny Pork Pie from New York City. He ran for New York City mayor a while back.
Oh.
Produces some of the best burlesque in New York City. Super excited to have him. He's going to be amazing. And he has this traveling burlesque game show called Grab My Junk.
Okay.
And
I played that game.
And he this will be the 36th city that he has brought it, and the third continent even
Oh wow.
that he has brought it to. So it's international, and we are so happy to bring it to Fargo. It's gonna be hilarious and obscene.
Awesome.
We're super excited.
So who
I like
are
obscene.
the burlesque ladies?
Well, I'm Oopsie Daisy. I'm the fire performer. And then we have Anytime Jones. She is one of the first burlesque performers ever in the entire state of North Dakota.
Oh, wow.
So she's very classic, and just graceful. And I mean, if you've met Anytime Jones, you've met Anytime Jones. You know that.
Yeah, and I actually have seen Anytime Jones perform. She's
Yeah.
great.
And Kettle Wonder she's a pole artist. She's a pole burlesque performer. So it's not like the stuff that you're going to see at the strip club here usually. She's a fucking athlete. Like, the things that she does is mind blowing.
I'm
And
always impressed what a human being can do with a pole.
Well, I will say, just jumping back real quick to my times in the strip club, I will say I was usually tipping the oldest stripper there the most because it was the oldest one that actually was the one that could dance on the pole. That was the one that I was usually tipping. I'm just saying that because it was talent. And I'm like, I wanted to reward that talent as opposed to just somebody that would just like be like attractive and then walk around the pole with this grimace on their face like, why am I here?
That's Jay. Boys, let's go see some talent tonight.
it makes sense. It makes sense to me because it's crazy what she can do on a pole. Just muscles everywhere. And she's just a tiny, compact, muscly girl.
It's cool.
And then we have Sincere, and her character is more of like nerdlesque.
Mm-hmm.
So like she's done like comic book characters and stuff like that.
That's very popular around here.
Yes.
Nice. I actually just performed at a burlesque show down in Narlands with the Society of Sin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually went down there for bachelor party.
You might want to add you performed comedy.
Oh yes, I should say that I actually performed comedy because they were down a performer, and my buddy who was the groom to be, he just asked if I could get up there, and they took a huge risk, but I killed it, and it was great. It was nerdlesque, and they were doing Indiana Jones and Doctor Who that night, and then they also do like a big Darth Vader one. So yeah, they're big into nerdlesque, so I know what that's like. No, I like nerdlesque. That's cool.
See, unfortunately, my heroes are like Carl Sag and Neil deGrasse Tyson. I do not want to see them in a burlesque show.
I gotta tell you, this next show, one of my performances is going to be
Carl Sagan?
close. No, not really.
Stephen Hawking's are gonna come out in a wheelchair.
I'm gonna be Reba McEntire.
What? Oh my gosh!
Nice.
Really?
Yep.
All right.
It's gonna be amazing.
I would like to see that. That'd be very
We might have
interesting.
to check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be there. I'll be at the anniversary. Sounds like fun.
So, and our last performer is Alleluia.
Oh yeah.
She's our angel. She's our sacrificial virgin, our newest member, and she just kills it on stage.
Does she have a specialty or?
She just debuted her first solo.
Okay.
At our last show last month at the Zoo Run Motorcycle Rally, and it was the best solo debut that I've ever seen. She's
Awesome.
gonna do more. I have a feeling she's gonna do more classically themed burlesque.
Okay.
So she's kind of coming into her character, and she's the innocent one.
Okay.
All right. I wonder what our church would think of that. Yeah.
I ran into Sincere, our nerdlesque performer. I ran into her Catholic cheerleading coach drunk at a bar. And she didn't realize who I was and who the guys were that she was trying to pick up, which were 20 years her junior. Whatever, get it, girl. But like, she was drunk and she was dumb. I'm sorry, she was really dumb. And then I find out who she is, and then she says something about Burlesque and Sincere and being her former cheerleading coach.
Oh, wow.
And she doesn't realize that the guy that she's picking up has been to every single one of our shows.
Uh-huh.
And we both just look over at each other, and he put her in her place.
Oh.
It's just like, you need to actually see a show.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
get some education.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing that probably for a lot of people that don't like Burlesque have probably never seen Burlesque.
Yeah, if I had
exactly.
never seen Burlesque, my mind would go to, especially, here in the Midwest, it's associated strongly with stripping, and that's inaccurate. Very
Well,
inaccurate.
it is, but it is.
stripping.
It's a strip tease, but there's no nudity.
Well,
there's nudity. The
Technical.
difference. Okay, we
Technical nudity.
are.
See those calves.
There's two sides of it. There's people who think that it's stripping, and there's people who think that it's not stripping. Really, it's stripping. It's just a different level of stripping than what people originally go to in their head about what stripping is.
Well, what do you think about these pole dance competitions that they have nationally?
They're awesome. They should
Well,
really go to the Olympics.
Pole dancing has a strong affiliation with stripping, but I would say it's more of a sport or an art.
Yeah, it
I
definitely
don't know where you're
is.
going with this.
I see.
There's the same biasness that people see when they
gotcha.
think of
Right.
a pole performer. Or like we have a pole fitness studio, Total Woman, which is one of our sponsors, and they have to deal with it constantly.
Right.
People thinking that it's like they're teaching the girls at the Northern.
Yeah,
That's
it's
not.
basically like you're teaching a stripping class where it's teaching pole dancing. It is fitness. I mean, if you can pole dance, you are incredibly strong, and
Yep.
I can't think of a better, probably more fun way to get in shape than pole dancing. Like
Yeah, and that's what all those women think. I've tried it. It's tough. It's tough.
Yay, centrifugal force.
Yeah, I mean,
They're not spinning around it so fast.
They are sometimes.
the thing,
Not to use the whatever.
actually, they do have spin. You turn this pole on spin, and you have to
Yeah,
hold
Jay.
these positions.
Sorry.
No,
But it's not like they're spinning around so fast that's how they're staying straight out. They're using their... That's what, when you're saying centrifugal force, that's what you meant.
Centripetal.
Centripetal force. And they're actually using their muscles to keep themselves
Yeah.
straight out, you weirdo.
Sorry, I just look for any opportunity to throw a dig at Jay. No, this has been amazing.
So we didn't really... I'm sorry, I actually told you to prepare some gripes, and I don't know if we really got on a lot of them, but we did kind of gripe about some of the issues that you had about
yeah.
sexuality and people not understanding burlesque. So
Can we get you to throw one more gripe in there? What is a gripe specifically about burlesque?
Specifically about burlesque.
Or I was going to say maybe a trivial one that you would like to throw out since we got to
okay.
kind of...
Okay.
It's your pick, I guess.
Something that you think could improve by sharing your perspective about something that's not as it should be. What? I want to make these gripes constructive.
I think we really touched
we
a
did.
lot of what my gripes are in burlesque and the perception that we get, and we touched on a little bit of slut shaming, catcalling.
Is there anything that you would like the audience to keep
To
in mind
know.
when they watch burlesque?
Yes, that's actually where I was going to go. Is there anything that
asked
you
it
want the
first.
audience to know?
I asked it first.
Do not base it on that fucking Christina Aguilera movie.
Don't base... I'm going to go one step further. Don't base anything in your life on anything dealing with Christina Aguilera.
She's got a voice,
Oh
man.
man.
She's on The Voice? I know.
She's got a voice.
All right, well, okay, so... Sorry.
You just gotta go and see a show. Like, people have no idea what they're gonna see. One of our, I believe it was Pam from Total Woman Studio. She was outside, or she was by the door, and she overheard these two people trying to coax their girlfriend to come in and see the show, and she just was like, I don't want to see this. Then at intermission, Pam goes outside and sees the same group of people, and the girl that was totally not into it was just like, yeah, you're right, this is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
The biggest surprise for people is that a lot of our audience are women.
Yeah, I've actually been surprised by that as well.
Yeah,
I guess I'm not surprised. I guess, and it's probably just because I've been to Burlesque before, but I guess...
But you haven't been to a Bluebell show.
I have not been to a Bluebell show. And that's bad.
It's pretty
been to a
incredible.
Bluebell show, not a Bluebell show.
It'll be the same thing. It'll
be the same thing.
So you have to come out July 16th, Shotgun Sally's. The show starts at 10 p.m. Okay. We have incredible performers. We have Redbone. She just got done performing at the Burlesque Hall of Fame in Vegas.
Oh, wow.
She, just stunning to watch on stage. Then we have another gal from Minneapolis. Her name is Petty Bourgeois. And our host again is Victoria DeVille. She's a drag queen, which she hosted our last show. Just blew people away because they had no idea what to expect.
Nice.
She had these guys who are farming communities, or in the farming community, talking about her song "I'll Suck Your Dick in a Public Place." They were actually singing along to this.
Nice.
I shit you not. Then the other show is July 17th. Drekker Brewing Company. Grab my junk.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Did you have a good time?
I did.
Awesome. Well, good.
Right.
And you didn't even have to pull out your knife. It was good to know.
I'm glad to meet your basement.
Yeah. Hey, we're how many shows in and no stabbings yet? I think we're probably on a good track.
Oh, jeez. So if you'd like to stab us, please feel free to email us at openmicgripe@gmail.com. Now, Jay and I would like to thank you for joining us and listening to the Open Mic Gripe, the place where serious and silly complaints come to chat.
Of course, we'd like to thank our audience, and of course, we'd really like to thank Oopsie Daisy of Bluebell's Burlesque, located here in Fargo, but I believe traveling all over.
Yeah, we get booked at other places.
Excellent. Well, go ahead and book them. You can find their information on Facebook, I would say. Facebook, look under Bluebell's Burlesque, and you can get in contact
Bells as in beauty.
BELLE apostrophe S.
Okay.
Yes.
Bluebell's Burlesque. So, of course, we'll be bringing you new episodes every week, and we encourage everyone to participate by sending your gripes, grievances, and opinions to openmicgripe@gmail.com or tweeting us at openmicgripe.
We hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you didn't, check us out next week when we will just be discussing your gripes.